What up, guys? Jake the Asshole here, along with my special guest, Sv3rige.
Yo.
All right, let me get a sound check. Make sure we're good to go. Guys, Jake the Asshole here. Sounds good on my end. I see myself on the screen. And let's see. Yeah, people in the chat. Rebecca. What's up, Rebecca? All right. So, here we are live on my backup channel, Journey of Jake, because I have a community guideline strike over on my regular channel. So we're going to be doing live streams over here on this channel for all my live streams for the next 3 months. They're all going to happen over here. Today we have an awesome guest. He's one of my new favorite YouTubers to watch, Sv3rige. I'm saying that right, correct?
Sv3rige. That's fine.
Oh, shit. I said it wrong again. Sv3rige. I need to think of it like a country, the country of Sv3rige. Okay.
Sure.
And you are Latvian and you live in Germany.
Yep.
But you are on vacation here in the United States right now.
Yeah, in Kentucky.
Kentucky. And how are you enjoying your stay here in the United States?
It's great, man. Really good.
Awesome. So I'm sure some of your subscribers are hooking you up with places to stay along the way on your trip.
Yeah, in Florida, Texas, Little Rock, Arkansas. Yeah, it's been great.
Awesome, dude. So I actually brought Sv3rige on today because I started watching his channel. I saw a milk jar video where it said vegans triggered, and I was watching like social justice warrior triggered videos, and then a vegans triggered video came up in the suggestions, and I just clicked on it out of curiosity, and it was milk jar eating, which is the name of another guy who eats raw meat. He was eating raw meat at a vegan event. And they were getting triggered watching him eating raw meat. And I thought, wow, how crazy is this guy eating raw meat? And then more raw meat videos kept popping up in my suggested search at that time. And one of them was your video, the NWO diet. And then a few other of your videos came up. Hold on, someone just, 1 second. I'm doing a live chat right now. I'll get with you in just a bit. Okay, sorry about that. Had to tell somebody I was busy. Okay, so I came across your channel through suggested videos through YouTube, and I started watching you eat raw meat. Not only raw meat, but old and rotten meat that you've kept in a jar for months or a year, and it got me thinking maybe eating raw meat isn't so crazy, and maybe it isn't so dangerous. And you were one of the only guys that I've came across that approaches the other side of the argument against veganism. So I thought I would ask you about that. What made you want to start eating raw meat and be anti-vegan and make anti-vegan content, if you will?
Sure. In short, or should I go in detail?
In long, man. We got a while here, and so yeah, we'll tell the whole story, man.
Yeah, sure. So my ex-girlfriend was a vegetarian, and I was into sun gazing, if you know what that is.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, and all of those people are all about not eating meat or no animal products and all of that stuff. And that's how I got pulled into it. And I went vegetarian, and then shortly after I went vegan because I didn't want to eat those high energy foods. It kind of makes sense, even though it doesn't make any sense. And I just got weaker and weaker. I started getting mental issues in the end because I was really just starving. And after 3 months or so, I got allergic to almost all of the plant foods, which I'm still allergic to this day. And my digestion was just messed up. So I couldn't really eat anything. And then I went on a 1 month fast, which was the biggest mistake ever because after that I started drinking juices. and trying to get back into eating, but I just couldn't do it, and I still didn't want to eat any meat, and in the end I ended up hospitalized, and then I was in the hospital for like 10 days in the intensive care. They said that I almost died there, and then I was sent to the psychiatry because I still had the mental issues from the starvation, and yeah, that's then I got out of the hospital, and in June, and then I went on a cooked ketogenic diet, but still couldn't really heal myself, and that's how I got into raw meat, because I was researching it for months, and that's the only thing that helped me in the end. Yeah, because I was really thin and I was just weak as hell, just absolutely emaciated.
Now, what I'm finding out is that a lot of people who go vegan for a long period of time start to they feel good at first, but then they start to deteriorate over the years, and you can actually eat away your own muscle tissue and in your fat storage to where you're down to weighing next to nothing. So, what was your lowest weight you got down to?
Well, after the fasting, I was 43 kilograms, which is like half my normal weight, so basically just bones. I don't know how much in pounds. It's like 95 pounds, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty light. Okay.
Yeah, I think something like that. But when I was vegan, even when I was eating a lot, I was still really thin and weak, and it happened quickly. Like within 1 or 2 months, I couldn't work out anymore because I was going to the gym at the time. I couldn't really do anything. All of the motivation was just gone, and I was eating a lot and just tons of nuts and whatever, vegetable salads and shit. It didn't do anything. I was probably I don't even know how light I was. I was probably like 60 kilograms already, even though I was eating a lot. Yeah. So I was told by my ex-girlfriend that I was getting really thin, but you just don't, like, you get these mental issues as a vegan that you don't even listen to what anybody is saying because you're just really sure about what you're doing. Yeah.
So let's get that clear. You were eating a lot of food, and you were eating the proper vegan diet as outlined. Because anyone I notice who claims that they were vegan and that it didn't work out for them and that they no longer are vegan, usually current vegans will say you did veganism wrong. You must have been eating potato chips all day and vegan coconut ice cream. So that must be what you did wrong, right? Do you ever get messages like that, people saying stuff like that you must have just did veganism wrong?
Nobody has said it about me, but I hear that all the time. I know what you mean. I ate, vegetables, lots of salads, which is what they promote. And back then I also thought that it's healthy. Everybody does. Everybody thinks that vegetables are healthy. And grains also, the nuts, yeah. Just the typical stuff, except for fruit. I didn't get into that. That's what a lot of vegans eat.
So how long have you now been eating a raw meat ketogenic diet, as you would call it?
2 years. Even though I don't eat a ketogenic diet always, I also eat fruit and stuff and honey. Right now I do. Especially when I'm traveling, it's really hard to do a ketogenic diet. But the raw meat is easy. Here I have some sheep ribs.
Oh, there you go. So you just chow down right off the bone, right?
Yeah, it's fun to eat it also.
Take another bite. It was on me.
Oh, okay. A lot of fat.
Pretty chewy?
It's no, this stuff isn't chewy. They're well in between, yeah, but otherwise it's really soft. Yeah, the fat itself is very soft. It's dry aged. It's dried in the refrigerator for like 3 weeks. Yeah.
That's good. I haven't tried sheep yet. You know, I think. Well, I've had leg of lamb, but it was always cooked. I haven't had any raw goat or sheep or lamb or any of that yet. So the only raw meats I've tried still are just fish and beef. So I'm yet to expand my horizon. But there was that mental barrier for me to try eating just raw beef and then a large quantity of it, like a whole plate full. Like when I made steak tartare for the first time, that was a whole plate full of meat. So to get over that mental factor, I actually watched a lot of your videos. And how long did you say you've been eating raw meat?
2 years.
2 years. So if you've been eating raw meat for years, it makes me figure that you're not just getting extremely lucky every day. You know what I mean? You can't do something, you know what I mean? Like 2 years is over 600 fucking days, 700 days in a row that you're eating raw meats, and eggs and whatnot. You're not just getting lucky every single day, right?
Well, the guy I'm staying at, he has been eating it for 9 years.
Yeah, okay. So somebody like that, you know what I mean? When people say, "Oh, don't eat raw meat," you can get sick.
There he is. Maybe he wants to say hi. Hey, come say hi, David. It's the live stream. You can say the legend, Derek. He's been eating raw meat for 9 years. That's Jake.
You must be the luckiest man in the world not to be dead.
Well, yeah. Day after day, I wake up still alive. Everybody thought that I wouldn't last. And it's one of those things, it's a miracle, right? A living miracle.
You know what I mean? The fact that you're still standing after eating all that raw meat, you must be full of parasites and tapeworms and stuff, right?
Right. I thrive off of parasites. I eat parasites for breakfast. I tell you what, though, I've cut parasites out of sheep, and the type of tapeworms that ruminants get, they don't affect carnivores. Like, the type of tapeworms that you have in sheep and cattle, they don't affect people. So, you can eat their worms and not even get them. Just like a lot of other predatory animals can eat, animals in the wild and not succumb to worms.
Speaking of worms, Sv3rige, you told me you just tried worms for the first time.
Oh yeah, we were digging a hole, and it wasn't, well, yeah, it was actually. I tried some bugs before, but those were the first worms. The first one was kind of bitter, and the second one tasted kind of like fruit. Yeah.
Well, the second was a grub worm.
A grub worm.
Grubs that you dig out of the ground.
That grub worm?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have a mental block with stuff like that even just holding it creeps me out. Let alone picking it up and eating it. Just holding it in my hands, like, even though I know it can't hurt me, I still ew! Fuck! So,
in the summertime, the cicadas crawl out of the ground, and you can eat those too. Like I was doing some work on a Vietnamese temple, and all the kids would go around and collect the cicadas in the summertime, and they'd make a stir fry out of them. So yeah, most of those bugs are perfectly edible.
And well, that's back when people had to survive off anything and everything that they could find, otherwise it was death. Then of course, eating grubs and bugs wouldn't be something that would be so icky if it was that or death. And if you've eaten them plenty of times and you know that they're fairly tasty, you might enjoy them. So the way I feel is that when I feel icky, I know I'm far removed from nature. Like a man isn't supposed to say, "Ew, gross, a grub, get it away. I don't even want to touch it."
These psychological aversions are so strong that throughout Depression and famine days, and even in the Neolithic era, people were still squeamish about it to the point where their entire families would starve rather than them to dig in the dirt and eat worms. Because Earth's bounty is plentiful. I don't see how people could starve if they had the knowledge to go out there and find the food. But what happens is we lost the knowledge And then there's a lot of stigma that gets put onto these foods that come out of the earth, the roots and the worms and the bugs and the other things that our ancestors thrived off of. In high society, we look down on that. So like people suppressed that knowledge of, you know, what you can eat in the wild to the point where people became retarded. And they literally don't know what's edible. They could go out into the forest and starve when there's hickory nut trees, and then there's roots and grubs. You can eat crawdads, salamanders. You can eat anything out of there that moves pretty much. And yet during famine and times of, you know, where the crops fail, people starve to death, which is, it just seems ridiculous to me.
So that's what I'm finding fascinated about the whole, or fascinating, I should say, about the whole food argument is people take it very seriously, and everyone's fed, you know, a lot of false information about health and what is healthy. And we all know that Big Pharma wants to keep us sick. You know that these drug companies aren't gonna make billions unless we're sick, and they need to feed us a bunch of false information to keep us sick, so we keep going to the doctor. So it makes sense that there's a lot of disinformation about health and what type of food is healthy and safe to eat. So when I started seeing Sv3rige eat the raw meat and then the rotten meat, which I also want to touch on that, it showed me that people can do more things than I thought we could and be just fine. You know what I mean? Like I used to get scared if I got a little raw egg on my finger or something. I'd have to like wipe it off and wash my hands and stuff because I was afraid that I might contaminate other stuff and get salmonella. Whereas now I'm actually eating the raw eggs and I'm getting used to the texture. You know what I mean? And so your videos have actually helped guys like me, and I'm sure thousands of people, to get over that fear that has been instilled into us by I don't know if it's the NWO or the Illuminati or whoever, but there are people who you know, put in place a lot of false information, definitely. And guys like you, I want to thank you, have helped people like me to get over that fear and realize that we can eat a whole lot of different things, and it's not even dangerous. So high meat. I want to mention that I've seen you eat rotten meat. How old of meat? Like, what's like the oldest meat that you've eaten?
I've eaten 3-year-old chicken. I ate it in Florida.
3-year-old chicken?
Yeah. I will post a video of it. You can watch it.
How did they preserve that? Like, in what method did they let it rot?
It was in a jar, just like I do it. Yeah.
I've seen your videos, but for anyone who's unfamiliar, you put the meat just raw into a jar, put the lid on, and then you just let it sit?
Yeah, exactly. And I let it sit in the fridge, not outside. But you can also do it outside, technically. It will ferment quicker, rot.
And so when you eat this high meat, do you have any sort of discomfort, any digestion problems? I mean, tell us about how that tastes and how that feels.
Nothing at all, man. When I ate the 3-year-old chicken and stuff, I just felt absolute euphoria, just pure happiness. And after these kind of meals, these sheep ribs or whatever, if the meat is really good, you just feel really happy. You just feel happy to be alive, and you just want to spread the happiness. Like that's what I get from high meat. It just makes you high. As far as digestion goes, no problems whatsoever. It's the same as raw meat. You just don't even feel it. Like you can eat yourself full as much as you want, and you will still never feel anything. Whereas if you eat any plant, you will just have issues, 100%. You can't overeat on plants, or even on cooked meat. It will just sit in the stomach and you will feel tired. If you eat raw meat, you get more energy out of it, and because you don't need a lot of energy to digest it. And high meat is just pre-digested meat, so it doesn't take anything at all. It's perfect.
Okay, and can you explain briefly what causes the high meat, the rotting meat, to make you feel high or euphoric? What do you think causes that?
That's the bacteria, because we are made out of bacteria, and all you do is get more bacteria. Of course, there could also be some kind of chemicals in there which we don't understand. As far as the nutrition goes, we understand that there's a lot more K2 in all fermented food, also in high meat, but everything else is pretty, it's not understood, because there's hardly any science behind this kind of stuff, because no scientist would even touch on this subject. So, Algenist Wonder Planets is really one of the only ones who did any kind of science and studies on this stuff.
And that's a great guy, Algenist Wonder Planets. He has a book out that you mentioned you've read. I haven't read it yet, but I have seen his videos, and I have seen clips that you've placed within your own videos. You often use him as a reference and use video and audio clips of him speaking in your videos. So if anyone goes over to Sv3rige's channel, they will find clips of a gentleman named Algenist Wonder Planets, and I hope I'm saying that close to correct. But he actually went on TV with a bunch of doctors and actually ate raw chicken right there on TV, raw eggs right there on TV. And he was one of the only guys I've seen actually take on the health industry, the mainstream disinformation coming out of doctors and stuff. So he's one of the only people I've seen like take them on as far as going on TV and in the mainstream, you know what I mean, and actually represent the other side of eating raw meat. And besides you and him, there's not a lot of people representing the raw meat side, and I find that to be telling when one side of the story doesn't get represented. And then when I finally do find guys like you in Wonder Planets, and when I hear the other side of the story, it's like, oh, okay, so this is the other side of the story besides the plant-based diet. And so that's what I find fascinating about your videos, is it's the complete opposite from what we get told about how great veganism is. And I think it's good to hear both sides of the story. And I even admit to people, I don't eat only raw meat, and I don't eat a plant-based diet, that I eat fucking everything, because somebody's got to be lying. Somebody's got to be wrong. So I got to get my nutrients from somewhere. So if the plants aren't that nutritious, then I'm eating that raw meat. And if you're wrong about the raw meat, well, I'm still going to eat some plants and fruits too, so that I get some nutrition from somewhere. So the way I look at it is I'm still eating everything. But I have added raw meat and raw eggs to my repertoire now. And I ate a plate full of steak tartare, and I posted the recipe here on my channel. And I know you watched it because you commented on it. But that was the first time I ever ate a whole plate full of raw meat. And as you said, I didn't really even feel that full. And I ate like a whole plate full. And I hardly even felt full. I felt energetic. Like usually at night, if I eat cooked meat, I start to feel tired. Or like at a big meal on a holiday with family, you eat a bunch of cooked meat, ham, turkey, whatever, you might feel tired. Whereas the raw meat, I actually didn't really feel full, and I felt more energetic. So definitely something there to that.
Yeah.
So, show everyone your shirt, because that's one thing. Read it out, like it's showing me.
Yeah, go vegan and die.
I know the audience can read it, but the camera was focused on me. It's like you have to make noise.
Yeah, yeah.
To switch over to you. Do you sell that shirt, or is that just one that you made for yourself?
I sell it also. Yeah, I sold 6 so far. Yeah, I had them here in the United States. So I just sold to people.
All right, and then so if people go to your channel, they can find the link like on your channel to buy the shirt.
I'll make another video about that. Yeah, I had made a video where people can contact me and buy them. I wasn't sure how many people will want them, but if people want them, yeah, it will be possible for sure.
Hey, well, you know, I sell me a shirt too, the Lunar Module or Homeless Tweaker Shelter shirt, and
yeah.
So as long as it promotes something that you believe in and that you feel strongly about, you know, I think it's good to push, you know, clothing or posters or anything like that that gets a message out that you believe in. And another video I wanted to mention on your channel that I recommend is you have a video that's a compilation of herbivores in quotations, I want to say, eating raw meat.
Yeah.
And I've actually used a few clips out of that video, but a common argument that I hear from vegans is that humans' teeth aren't meant for eating meat. But then when I watch the video on your channel of herbivores eating raw meat, it basically debunks the whole teeth argument. For instance, there's clips of like a squirrel or a chipmunk eating a mouse. And as we know, squirrels and chipmunks don't have huge sharp teeth or claws. So videos like that that you have on your channel of animals that you wouldn't necessarily even think eat meat, when you see them eating meat, it just debunks a lot of these rumors about teeth. Do you hear that a lot, that humans don't have proper teeth for eating meat?
Of course, man. It's an absolute lie, because animals have very different teeth. It really has almost no relation to what they actually eat. It's sort of related because humans, for example, have mostly cutting teeth. So our teeth are only made for raw meat consumption, and we can chew some stuff with the back teeth, but even they are pretty sharp. Whereas herbivores, the ones who chew grass all day long, they have very flat and big teeth. No human has any teeth like that. We never had. And then there's camels who have canines like lions. Why do they have them if their diet is mostly completely different? It's because they use them as weapons. So there's a huge misconception about all of this stuff.
The teeth one gets brought up a lot, and so that's why when I see a video on your channel of the animals, you know, like gorillas eating grubs and gorillas eating meat, monkeys eating meat, you know, they're a cow eating a baby chicken, you know what I mean? It was like eye-opening, because then I realized that it doesn't have anything to do with teeth. So and then when more you think about it, like even like these front teeth, you know, a vegan might say that these, you know, front teeth aren't good for chopping into meat, but a meat cleaver is like a square blade. You know, a meat cleaver doesn't have a sharp tip at the end. There's no point on a meat cleaver. It's like a square that they can chop like an axe. You know what I mean? So if you think of our teeth as little meat cleavers, you know what I mean? Our front ones,
yeah,
they do the job just fine of tearing off pieces of flesh. So
and you also got to remember that humans are very degenerated today. So if you look at tribes, you will see huge jaws with very strong teeth, and they bite into things much stronger than we do. We eat bread and shit. We don't even hardly use our jaws anymore. And so we don't have a lot of space for teeth, and that's also another thing. Like every human you look at in cities it's not how a human is supposed to look like. So that's another problem.
Well, in these arguments that they bring up, you know, because I've been getting a lot of it, and I've only made 2 videos where I've eaten raw meat, and so in just those 2 videos, I got a lot of blowback and a lot of people coming after me, and you know, the arguments that they bring, I notice don't tend to hold water. Another one that I've been told is to try to take a bite. And I was told this by a very mentally ill vegan who has a YouTube channel that I'm not going to mention. You know who I'm talking about. But this mentally ill vegan said that I should try to take a bite out of the side of a cow and see how tender it is then. My teeth aren't made for eating beef, because if I tried to take a bite out of the side of a cow, that wouldn't work out too well. And to him, I would reply, why don't you go take a bite out of the side of a coconut?
Yeah,
take a bite out of the side of a fucking pineapple without using a knife to cut into it first. Like, just take a bite out of the side of a pineapple and chew that shit up and tell me that's food.
Yeah, man. To make vegetables and fruit, you gotta use way more tools than you would have to use to hunt. Because they always like to talk about the tools, but us using tools, that's our strongest weapon. And that's why we are apex predators, because we can make our own tools. I could even, if I killed a cow, I could just take a sharp stone and cut it open easily. And another thing is that every animal hunts weaker animals. So usually, if you're alone, you're probably not going to hunt an elephant. You're going to hunt the smaller animals. And if you hunt a squirrel, you just break it open and you suck the blood and eat it. It's no problem.
Yeah. So, geez, what else did I want to touch on before we head out here? Water. I still, drink distilled water, but I've been hearing from guys like you and a few others that maybe humans shouldn't be drinking so much water. And if you look, mainstream media is telling us to drink water. We're being told to drink like 7-8 glasses of water a day. And, it's easy to say they have fluoride in the tap water, so they're trying to poison us with the fluoride. But guys like you and even Ajunas Vonderplanets are even saying that, like, all water, even nice clean water, is still not really a good thing to drink tons of every day.
Yeah, so distilled water is basically just dead water. That's why Ajunas Vonderplanet said that it's the worst, because it has nothing anymore, and you got to pull out everything out of your body to kind of try to make it work. So the thing about water is that basically you can drink plain water, and what you will do is, if you sweat, then it will circulate in your body, and you can sweat it out, but that doesn't mean that you get hydrated. So all that we do for the most part is just fill up with water and get it outside of us again. But it doesn't mean that, well, let's just put it this way. Water, which is natural, which comes from the rain and then is absorbed by the plants and then goes inside the animal, which is the blood. That's why they say we are made out of water. It's the blood, obviously. That water has ions attached to it, the H2O, so it's electrically charged. And if it's not electrically charged, as it is with all of the water that we get, then it's nothing. That's why I almost find water disgusting nowadays. You don't get this if you grow up with it, but it has to have a taste. That's basically the point. Plain water, when it doesn't have taste, it is simply not drinkable to my senses. But if you grow up drinking it, then you never understand this. So it should come from raw milk, raw eggs. All raw food is mostly water. Animals themselves, raw meat. Drink also juice plants if you want. You can squeeze out water from plants, and all of this water is electrically charged, and then you hydrate yourself, because your cells can't absorb plain H2O. It doesn't work. And yeah, that's what Ajunas Vonderplanets got into and proved these studies. And if you try it yourself, you will also understand it, because you will drink probably like 5 times less in a day, simply because from the little bit that you drink, you will be hydrated.
And I have noticed that that a lot of animals, like when they do drink, they they drink maybe, you know, once in a while, and they take a little bit of water, and then they're off. They don't drink glasses and glasses, you know, all day long like we're told to drink. Like we're being told now by mainstream media and doctors and all that to drink, you know, like 7-8 glasses of water a day. And so it's hard to know what's good to do and what's not good to do, what's good to eat, you know, what's not good to eat. And even something as simple as water, you know, like I was, you know, told, you know, when I was working out that I should be drinking a gallon, you know, a day to help my muscles. You know what I mean? So yeah. You know, when I hear somebody like you come along and say, no, you should get your hydration more from what you eat rather than drinking water, it's again, that's the other side of the argument. And I think that's rather than flipping out and going crazy, like he just said, don't drink water. What a fucking crazy idiot. I think, oh, maybe there's something to that. You know what I mean? So I like hearing the other side of the argument. What do you got?
This is raw milk. And it has tons of nutrients, right? And whereas if you drink water, you just filter out and pee out stuff. So you don't get anything from water. So that's the biggest problem with the water. You don't get any nutrients. You actually lose nutrients by drinking water. And yeah, that's a problem.
So raw milk you got there, does it taste... does it taste pretty good, or what?
This is actually the best raw milk I've ever had in my life. Here from Kentucky, yeah.
Is it they have their own cow or what?
Derek doesn't have a cow, but he brought me to a farm, and he said that the soil there is very good, so maybe that's why it tastes so good. Yeah.
That's cool. And yeah, I actually live in an area where, in the center of California where I live, there's lots of dairy farms. And so I could probably go find some. I just know that it's illegal, so you have to kind of find, you know, somebody who's running an illegal raw milk, you know, trade or something. But
in California?
Yeah.
It's not illegal in California, right? That's what people say.
Oh, I see. I actually don't know I'm not sure about.
It's not because Sally Fallon and Agnes van der Plans, they fought for it and made it legal again. That was many years ago.
Huh? Maybe they just don't sell it in stores because there's no raw milk in any stores.
Yeah, that may be so. I don't know. But in California and Pennsylvania, for example, it's legal.
Okay, well now I'll have to check into that because I always drink milk when I was a kid, and then later on in my teen years and in my 20s, I caught a lot of information saying how milk is terrible and bad, and then I kind of like stopped drinking it for a while for the most part, and now I'm hearing a lot of information that pasteurized milk isn't good, that you want the raw milk straight out of the tit, that's the best kind.
Yeah, pasteurized milk is terrible. Yeah.
And so basically, it kills everything beneficial in the milk that you are drinking right there in the raw milk, right?
Yeah, but it's worse because usually they also add synthetic chemicals, which they call the vitamins and minerals. So they add synthetic calcium to the milk. And even if they don't, then the calcium that is there, you can't absorb it, so you can actually get heart disease from pasteurized milk, because that's pretty much the number one cause. Like that's basically heart disease, is the calcium in the arteries. And any dead food which has a lot of calcium, which the body can't assimilate, is gonna lead to heart disease. So pasteurized dairy, all of it. That's why I tell people, if you can get raw dairy, never eat pasteurized dairy.
Oh shit! Because I still eat cheese and stuff. Like you know what I mean. I still like
cheese also has salt, so that's also terrible.
Oh yeah, you're not into salt either. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
well, yeah. Like I said, I'm taking baby steps. You know what I mean. I'm not gonna say I have the perfect diet by any means. A lot of times I don't get to eat enough of what I like to eat because it just costs so damn much. You know, the cost of food and good food, quality food, as you know, it can be very costly. And it's set up like that, of course, so that people at the bottom of the chain are less healthy,
Yeah.
So what about your costs with meat? Do you find it tough to eat the raw meat diet, or have you found a way to keep it cost efficient?
I don't have any financial problems. If I did, I would just eat organs. So you can buy a beef heart really cheap. What Derek, for example, here does is buy a sheep, and it lasts for a month, and he buys it for like $200 or something. So it's super cheap. If you buy a whole animal and butcher it yourself, you're good to go. I get it from butcheries. I get it pretty expensive, but I don't have a problem with it. Maybe if I don't have money in the future, then I'll start thinking about doing something else.
Yeah, I just noticed, it can be costly no matter what it is. Even if you're eating a vegan diet and you want to get the expensive non-GMO organic stuff, whatever. I just noticed, like trying to eat good in this country can get really expensive, and people in the chat probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So anyway, that I think we pretty much touched on all the topics I wanted to hit. So let me go to the chat before I let you go and see if anyone has any questions that they want to ask you.
Sure.
Anyone in the chat have any questions for Sv3rige while we have them here? It usually takes a few seconds for what I say to go through and get to them, so hopefully somebody will have a question. Somebody said talk about high meat. We already talked about high meat. We already did that. Someone asked if you know any Latvian jokes.
Yeah, I'm reading it myself. Neģers saujojās. He will understand.
That was the joke?
Yeah, it's 2 words.
Okay. What's the best way to stay hydrated? Asks Christopher Koulis.
Blood, raw milk, eggs, like I said, or do vegetable juices, eat fruit, better low carb. So grapefruit, whatever, stuff like that.
All right. Let's see. Who else had a question? You see one, go ahead and read it out. I'm got lost for a second. Went back too far.
Oh, you want me to read it?
Or if you see any questions, I went back too far.
What I think about gun control. I like guns. I shot the first guns here in my life in the United States in Texas. It was great. I wish I had a gun.
Well,
that's what I would say to that.
Hey, brother. Yeah, I fucking love Texas. The people in Texas treated me very well. And so that must have been exhilarating. You've never fired a gun?
Yeah, in Europe, no. That's how everybody grows up, without guns.
So you get to come over to the United States and Texas and fire. What was? You get to shoot a handgun, rifle, both? What?
Yeah, I shot 4 guns, also a sniper rifle, and they didn't even ask me for my license or anything.
Awesome. What? Yeah, Texas is one of the best states for being gun friendly, and so you chose the best state, man. So great, man. That's cool. Shit, somebody else. There's a few people asking questions. Someone asked, Sv3rige, have you ever ate cancer before?
Ate cancer? What does that mean?
I don't know what that means, but you actually, since he brought up cancer, you actually have a interesting theory on cancer. What did you say that if a doctor told you had cancer, like what would be your reaction?
I wouldn't take it serious at all, because almost everybody nowadays, definitely people in the cities, have cancer cells, because it's just the way your cell adapts to an unnatural diet or whatever you're doing. Or if you're smoking, you get lung cancer simply because your cells in the lung have to adapt to you smoking. That's not a bad thing. If your cells wouldn't adapt, they would die. So you would die without the cancer. So cancer is great. It's a problem if you get cancer, but cancer is not the problem. It's because it's the reason you're alive.
That's interesting. See, another thing that I had never heard until I came across your channel. So that's one thing I've really enjoyed, and I can't say I always agree with everything you say, but at the same time, I can't say any of it's wrong. And the great thing about food is that we all get to decide what we want to chew up and swallow. We all own our body. We get to decide what we want to eat, and we get to perform the experiment ourselves. You know what I mean? Rather than just listening to authorities and doctors and people who might consider themselves to be smarter than me, when it comes to food and health, I can actually eat whatever it is and make the decision myself. And that's what I really like about this whole food argument, is that each of us get to do the experiment on ourselves by eating the food. And when I see someone like you eating raw meat and then rotting meat, it helps to dispel that fear that, it's the most dangerous thing. And just coming into contact with it, you should be washing your hands and stuff like that.
Yeah. I want to add about cancer also. If anybody ever gets diagnosed with cancer, if you have a tumor, the cancer cells actually have solvents that remove the tumor, that kill the dead cells. So getting rid of cancer is the worst idea. It's the last thing you should try to get rid of. It could be, in some cases, a good idea to cut out the tumor if you don't want to risk it. But in all of the cases of anybody who lets it stay, it always goes away by itself. So all you have to do is stop all of the unnatural things you're doing, what's killing you, because you get dead cells for a reason. You're doing something that's killing your cells.
All right, and then we're also getting questions about drinking urine. I personally have not tried it, but I have heard both sides of the argument. There are people who say it's wonderful and the greatest thing they've ever started doing, and then there are other people that say that's the stupidest fucking thing, and the Illuminati have tricked a bunch of people into drinking their pee. You know what I mean? So where do you stand on the drinking of the urine?
I've tried it. I don't like it. So my senses tell me not to drink it, and that's my number one rule. Is if my senses tell me not to, then I won't. Of course, the taste may change also depending on what you eat, and I haven't tried it now since I've been eating raw meat, but I don't want to. It doesn't look like to my human senses. It's like it's the same as shit. It's not something I want to eat, but I would definitely recommend doing it if you are in a desert and you have nothing to drink. Then it's perfect for survival situations.
Okay, that's a good answer. Yeah, I could agree with that. It's not something I've tried, but you at least have tried it and came to the decision that you don't want to drink it anymore. So it didn't do anything miraculous for you when you drank it that one time.
What?
It didn't do anything good for you when you, like, as far as when you drink it. You didn't notice any major difference when you drank it that one time?
No, I did a urine fast, which is a good idea if you don't eat or drink anything. At least get the urine. So I technically put myself in a survival situation for 8 days. It was terrible.
So you wouldn't recommend fasting at all?
No, definitely not. I recommend eating as much as possible, but of course, not overeat for no reason. But eat as much as you want and focus on eating a lot of fat. If you don't want to age a lot, because fat is the least aging nutrient, because it doesn't have almost no insulin response. It doesn't really have a growth effect. There's no growth factor. There's pretty much no growth is going to happen if you eat a fat-based diet, and it should be raw fat. So you will pretty much just stay the same age. Whereas if you eat sugar or even protein, protein, of course, not so much, it will still age you. So it's best to just eat. The perfect human diet would be drink lots of blood. If we had that, of course, almost nobody has that because it's illegal. And eat a lot of fat. You will pretty much not age. You will probably live to 200 easily.
So you think if you were able to drink fresh blood daily and then eat large amounts of fat, the animal fat, that would keep you from aging and you would live longer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because blood has everything you need, and it takes like nothing to digest it. So it's almost like fasting, except that you get all of the nutrients. It's like the liquidarian diet, except that the vegans get brainwashed into drinking fruit juice, which ages you like hell and is missing tons of nutrients. Whereas if you get blood, which all of them have been brainwashed not to do, because we grow up as kids and we watch horror films, and blood is always portrayed as scary, and it's vampires, it's monsters who do it. No, it's Satanists, and it's our food. Because in nature we are basically vampires, and we get told to be afraid of vampires, or that it's these mystical things, or they don't exist, or whatever. No, it's us. It's human beings.
Exactly. And now, see, it makes me now want to try to get a hold of like some fresh cow blood. And one time in my life, I did get to see a cow get butchered from life to death. Because I live around dairy farms. There's a friend of mine when I was a kid who lived on a dairy farm, and one of the cows had broke its leg. So they call over a guy who has a truck with a little crane on the back, and he just gets out of the truck, casually walks over to this cow with this little 22 rifle, and he just casually walks up and shoots the cow in the head with this 22 rifle. And then the cow like takes a few minutes to die. And of course I saw this, so I have a pretty vivid memory of it. And then he wrapped the cow's legs up with this like crane from the back of his truck, lifted up the cow, and then when he slit the cow's neck and put a bucket underneath, it filled up the bucket with blood, and then he moved that one out of the way and put another bucket, and it filled up like a couple buckets. It was a shitload of blood.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, what they end up doing with all of it. But now you have me curious as to wanting to try cow blood. You know what I mean? So and I've heard lots of stuff from ancient civilizations all drinking, animals' blood, and that being, they would mix blood with raw milk even.
Yeah, and that's why we have all of these blood donation places, because the elite, whatever you want to call them, they use our blood. Like they bathe in it, they drink it. Like that's where the blood goes to. It doesn't help anybody if you go and donate blood.
And so it's interesting to think if the elites are doing human sacrifice and eating, humans or drinking blood, they possibly have knowledge that stuff may be good for you and maybe causes you to live longer and be more healthy, even though it seems like a morally wrong and terrible thing to do. They, of course, don't see it that way because they're the ones in control. And
yeah, of course, man. Like that's why we. Yeah, go on.
Or go ahead. Yeah, I was basically saying you're the one that I got this from, so I'm segueing it.
That's why there's all of these Illuminati conspiracy documentaries out there. A lot of them probably made to put an image out there how they want us to see them, because they want us to see them as these satanic baby-eating blah 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 people, and then it pushes you towards veganism because you think, I don't want to be like them, but they portray it in the way that we see them as bad. But that's only because we are so religious and we believe in all of this stuff. Like even the people who call themselves atheists, they're still incredibly religious. Like everybody is religious. Like everybody believes in good and bad, which comes from good comes from God, bad or evil comes from the devil, and everybody believes in it. So everybody is religious, and this is why the elite or whatever, they brainwash us to see them that way, and we see them as satanic. Then we end up not wanting to have anything to do with this blood and stuff. But then when you start thinking about it, you realize that this satanic stuff is just nature. Like literally everything that is called satanic is natural and is healthy. Everything is twisted like crazy.
And it makes sense that you don't hear about the elites like like Rothschilds, Rockefellers falling over and dying because of heart disease from their terrible diet of eating babies. You know what I mean? Like those guys are outliving a lot of us. You know what I mean? Like so you know what I mean? All those old bastards. You know what I mean? Are living more healthier lives. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure about all of those rich people if they are really involved, because even they promote eating like raw seafood and all of that. So they're certainly not into plants. But I believe that the actual people who do all of this blood stuff, they're even higher than the so-called rich people, like the actual so-called Illuminati or whatever.
Yeah, I'm saying like the tippy top. I mean, they aren't eating plants, right?
Who knows? Maybe they eat some herbs or something for fun, but essentially, no. It's definitely a blood-based diet.
Interesting. And then, of course, if you bring this up, then you're just inviting, the Christians in the chat to tell you that you're a satanic vampire. Correct?
Yeah, right. And that's what people don't realize. Like everybody is like that. When you talk about blood, like pretty much everybody is Christian. That's the truth, which nobody wants to accept. Every atheist is pretty much Christian. Like all of them believe the same thing.
You know what?
Realize
they don't think they believe in a religion, but to be an atheist, then you have to pretty much buy into Earth being a spinning ball in outer space, and that humans evolved from single cell organisms that got here by magic. I mean, most atheists buy into that story that humans evolved from some single cell that showed up to the prehistoric Earth magically on some asteroid or something. You know what I mean? So they believe in a religious tale just the same as a Christian would.
Yeah, they believe in creation, except that they believe in coincidental creation. So which one is more ridiculous? Creation by coincidence or creation by something or whatever?
I lean towards that there's a creator, and I always tell people I think there is some sort of creator. I just don't know what it is, and I don't try to claim to know what it is, and I don't push what I think it is on anybody. Like I don't say you have to believe in a creator like me and not know what it is. You know what I mean? Because I just think that we are created. I just don't know by what. But I used to be an atheist when I was growing up, and so I know how that mindset is. And I used to think that believing in a god or a higher power was crazy. So I've actually seen and lived through both ways of thinking, to where some people are stuck in one way of thinking their entire life, and nothing you ever say, will ever get them out of it. Whereas I don't know about you, but like I said, I used to be an atheist, and now I come from more of a side of creation. I just don't know what it is. Were you ever atheist, or did you grow up participating in any sort of religion?
I was never really part of anything. I was baptized when I was 4, but never really thought much of it. I sort of believed in God, I suppose, in some way, sometimes. That's it.
Okay. Well, Hey, buddy. I think we had a pretty damn good chat here. I think it's cool that you got back to me and we were able to do this. You're one of the channels I've been watching a lot of lately, and you got some really cool information out there, new ideas, new things, you know, that keep me thinking, keep people thinking. And like I said, you present the other side of an argument that I hadn't heard presented before, as far as the raw meat, the high meat, you know, the water, a lot of it. I appreciate the info that you're bringing to the table. And I'm a subscriber to your channel, and I'm a fan. And anybody who wants to check out Sv3rige's channel, head on over there. It's spelled just like it is in the title, SV, the number 3, RIGE. So head over there and check him out. And yeah, man, repost this video on your channel.
Yeah.
And hopefully send a few people my way. And maybe we'll do this again in the future.
Sure, man. Absolutely. Thanks, man.
All right, buddy. Well, you have a good day. And all you guys in the chat, thanks for hanging out with us. And we'll see you guys next time.
Okay, man.